us through how to best connect, how to best incorporate protocols. So for example, when we got funding to do our our funding for Indigenous programming, we had a whole committee design our funding strategy and how to work with that. For an example of something we took from there is our review committee, who chooses all of our programs, is entirely made up of Indigenous leaders, including an elder. And I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to define a little bit more about what we're doing.
Coming on to the agency, I've been able to start an Indigenous Learning Nest, which brings Indigenous agencies in particular together to really identify the gaps and needs of Indigenous learners within Calgary. And if we have those gaps and needs identified, then as a funder, we can determine what best programs to choose from when we get applications that meet those needs of Indigenous learners within the community. As well, we've established an Indigenous Learning Circle for facilitators and the programs that we fund, as well as for staff and board. And I think that this really provides an opportunity in this space for professional and personal development around Indigenous awareness and into the work that they do every day. And to be able to provide that Indigenous lens to the work that Calgary Learns does is a wonderful opportunity, because they're open and they're purposeful, and it really speaks to what is needed for the Indigenous community, because they've implemented these strategies, this openness into their strategic planning as well as their operational plans, and I think that that's to the benefit of everybody, especially Indigenous learners and the Indigenous community, to be included in that.
To work with Lisa to really embed what we as an organization are starting to learn into the professional development that we provide in community. And in a way, it's a two-pronged or two-handed piece, one of which is increasing opportunities, as Lisa is doing through her initiatives, increasing opportunities for people to learn more about what we mean when we talk about Indigenous ways of doing and being and knowing. But on the other hand, really inviting the community into what I think is probably our biggest work, which is recognizing that when we're talking about reconciliation, we're not talking about learning more about Indigenous history. We're actually talking about learning about our own non-Indigenous history and our settler history, and how that influences and impacts how we design and deliver our programming, and how programs create welcoming spaces for adults in the community. So it feels like we're at a time of sort of great change, but also a great opportunity for really integrating new pieces into our work within the community.